while we are sitting and talking together, we are going to explore Mercury, brand new destination for this expansion. We are going to take a look at a new endgame reward system that you'll be able to use to add weapons to your inventory, and we are going to embark on an adventure through the Infinite Forest, which is a new way to play Destiny. So usually what we would do is we would go to a live fire team, but in the interest of time, as it is difficult to predict exactly when a public event may begin, instead of us trying to fill the moments with idle chit-chat while we wait for that public event to spawn.
You don't like bro talk?
I thought we'd keep the bro talk, as you just said, to a dull roar and show you exactly what a public event is like on Mercury. So, as I said, in the interest of time, we're going to show you that we captured something that we just captured earlier. So we do have a fire team on set. They're going to be playing through the Infinite Forest live, but right now what we'd like to do is we would like to show you the footage that we captured of this brand new public event that is created just for Mercury. Bespoke public event is what you guys have been saying to refer to this.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what, John Sova, one of our designers, and Noah Thompson, one of our artists, got together and basically built the space around this public event. I like to call it kind of the Vex Circus. That's not the original name, but it's this really awesome custom space and set of encounters that it's a lot of fun, and it's our biggest thing we've built for public events. And the whole space is kind of, as you can see, you just saw that the space transforms as you play, and you will expand out throughout and go to different areas that you can't go to at any other time.
The transformative playable space is a running theme for Curse of Osiris. The event has begun. So you are witnessing the largest, most elaborate public event, most rewarding public event, we will see later, that we've ever created for Destiny or Destiny 2. Here we have the boss. Talk to us about this boss.
So we're going to have these gatekeepers. They're going to be spawning throughout the space, and they're going to kind of be a focal point, brief focal point. And once you kill them, you'll pick up these, what we call keys, and dunk them. And then these are more or less your way of progressing through the different phases of the public event.
Nice dunk. 2 points. Not actually, that's a basketball joke. You don't actually earn points.
Yeah, and then at this point here is you'll move over to the complete other side of the space and play a more similar type of experience. And this is kind of just the first phase of the entire public event. We built Vex cannons throughout the space to kind of let you move quickly to another part of the phase. As you can see, we're about to clear out this guy, this gatekeeper. Once he's done, we're going to once again do another dunk. And keep in mind, this can be done in parallel at the same time with multiple guardians can more or less do this in parallel. But we're going to show you the whole thing.
I think one of the things that is worth mentioning, in previous public events, they always tend to have one core focal element, and it always drives everybody to one centralized location. With this event, it actually, because of the way we've set it up, we have these different islands. It allows the team and everybody that's in the public space that's engaged in the public event itself to be able to move around the environment. And that's what we kind of talk about, like trapeze, bouncing back and forth. And that's where I guess that Vex Circus idea comes from.
The Vex Circus.
Okay. And then, because you're now on an island, you can't get here any other way except for this event. So this is kind of opening up the space to other areas that you won't be able to normally get to when you're patrolling around.
And we have a guardian down.
And someone failed here.
There's no failure. There's only temporary delay between you and victory.
They failed.
Okay.
And so now the goal is for them to, when they're on these islands, is to kind of do a similar thing, which is kill more gatekeepers and pick up the keys and make more progression through the space, through the encounter.
So this fire team will trigger the heroic aspect of this public event.
Well, we're not going to show.
But we are not going to show you exactly how that works. Maybe some of these special guests who visited our studio in recent weeks, who will have their own content going live after the stream. We'll see if they can explain it. We'll see if they can figure it out. But for the purposes of this stream, we will demonstrate the existence of some heroic modifiers for this public event. But you will not learn during this stream exactly how that happens.
You see there's a big kind of a EMP explosion that's forming in the center of the space to kind of clue you in that something else is going to happen further in the public event. And this is a pretty involving public event, which I think is really cool because there's a sense of progression that happens that is not just in one spot. You're kind of all over the place.
It's phased, yeah.
So they just finished one island, now they're headed back to the other. And if you noticed earlier that there are the Vex cannons kind of turn around to unlock different things, different phases of the encounter. It's kind of a cool little twist that we're doing to, instead of having to have new things spawn in, we can use the same thing and make it feel like it's kind of part of a machine.
Yeah, that was one of the things we talked about last week, Dave, when we were exploring the story and the lore of Curse of Osiris, is that, Mercury was once a garden world, and now that the Vex are here and have made it their domain, the entire planet has been converted to a machine.
Yes.
And as we play through these activities, you really get a sense of the fact that we are just sort of now a cog in their machine, and it's definitely putting us through the paces.
Yeah, and through the story, which we'll cover, you'll see more evolutions of that machine, which I really love the Vex story. I think it's a cool concept.
One of the things that we talked about was getting back to some of those themes about mystery and always trying to understand, always plant the seed in the player's head of what's going to happen next. I think that's also another, I think it's a core tenet about part of this design is as it unfolds, as it progresses, you're constantly asking yourself, what happens next? What is my next? What am I charged with doing next?
Yep.
And I think now as we're getting closer and closer to how the heroic is starting to display, you're going to see a little bit more and ask those questions of like, now how am I going to deal with the boss that looks like I see right now?
Yes, he's now invincible. Oh my gosh. So you'll take down more gatekeepers, and there's a theme of kind of taking down gatekeepers, picking up keys, and then that barrier there prevents it so you can't just shoot in. You have to actually engage in the space.
Nice little piece of multitasking there.
Yeah.
Running the ball, reviving your friend.
Now and then you do damage again to the...
Dunking the key. You said those were keys, yes?
Yes.
Gatekeepers, keys, locks. All variations on a theme. Deciphering the machine.
This is where it gets really crazy, because everybody kind of converges in the center area. And once again, this is a space you won't be able to go to in the during the normal patrol. This only is reserved for the public event.
Right. And if you happen to land boots on the ground while this is going on, like you can actually see this mayhem. It's pretty awesome to like when you come into space and you see people flying around. And
you can even see this from the lighthouse proper. It's pretty cool.
So you could just hang out up in the lighthouse
with Brother Vance and popcorn.
Your
skybox seats.
I sure love me some popcorn.
Spectate the public event. And it should be said that this is all a public space.
Yes.
So if you're watching this at home and you are a solo player, if you don't have a friends list that is bristling with teammates, Destiny will introduce you to people that will help you complete this activity. We currently have a pre-made fire team, and they are, in fact, heroic. Now let's check this out. I promised before that this was the most rewarding public event, and there we have it. We have 2 chests for a change, and check out those sweet, sweet moves.
Yeah, those are my favorite. I'm a spicy ramen kind of guy.
Spicy ramen guy. Well, that's actually about to become a thing of myth and legend.
Yeah.
So once season 1 is over, bye-bye spicy ramen, and we'll make room for some other exotic ways to express yourself non-verbally in Destiny. But that's a conversation for another time. That's a conversation we had in the past. at TwitchCon. We have our own reality machine, reality engine, as we say. With the public event complete, I want to talk a little bit about one of the new endgame reward systems that we have on its way to Destiny 2.
We have this thing we call the Forge, which we will talk about in a bit, and this is the wall of this wall of weapons, the Vex weapon wall. Yeah,
this actually shows you your progression as you're going through and you're actually building various weapons that are all elective at the end of the game.
So the destination is basically delivered to you through a series of different adventures. Yes. We'll talk a little bit about also how some of those adventures are now heroic.
Yes. Yes.
And you're adding modifiers to some of those adventures.
Yep, we're adding a bunch of modifiers to the adventures, and they're going to be random every time you play it. These adventures, the heroic ones, are very, very challenging. Yeah. Bring a fire team. If you're good, bring yourself, be solo. You can play it anyway. Okay. But it's definitely going to challenge.
So we have 3 options here. We have these different verses, verse 3, 4, and 10. In the interest of showing off a weapon that our audience did not see on the last stream, I'm going to forego the contrivance of an election run in chat, and I'm just going to acquire verse number 3.
And there's many other verses too.
How many verses in total?
It's 11.
11
verses.
All right.
You'll see that, and if you, it shows basically what you need from the game, from playing activities in the game. There's various drops that you'll get.
So this feels like a quest.
It is a quest.
An army meets and stands and falls. 3 nobles wage their hopeless war. In shifting madness, evil crawls. One stands above the battle's roar. So I need concentrated radiolarian culture.
Yep.
And I need adaptive paradox amplifier.
Yeah.
All right, so where do I find those things?
So if you go into the details.
Yep.
You can look at the things that you will need.
Okay. So
and they will tell you what activities you'll play. And so we want to do with this is give people reasons and having them, not give them weird random things to do, but give them activities that they would already normally play. Yeah. And then they can go play and then get the resources from those.
Added incentive. So in this case, this is a rare item acquired by completing strikes.
Yes.
Crucible matches and heroic adventures on Mercury.
Yes. So
I'm really glad we covered heroic adventures already. Otherwise, this would be a spoiler fed out through the user interface. And so that's why we went.
We've kind of bucketed those as time in terms of time. So when you look at one of these things, you go, "Oh, I know how long a strike lasts. I know how long a crucible match." Yep. And so by doing those things, and you don't have to do all of them. If you're like, "Oh, I'm a crucible for life, bro." You can totally just play a bunch of Crucible games, and you will get those drops.
Okay. And this is one of those things acquired from the strikes. So I can consume this.
Yes.
And then we can see here that my meter is filling up.
Yep. There you go.
Okay. I now have a prophecy tablet.
You can give this to Brother Vance, and he will give you...
Is that what I want to do? I want to transmute the tablet?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Everybody wants to transmute. Now that you have the transmuted tablet, you will take it over to the Forge.
All right.
And because it's a public bubble, other players will see this.
Oh, really?
As
cool.
you do it.
So they'll say, congratulations to you, because you are now the proud owner. Oh my, it's doing its work. Something is arriving.
And then bam.
And it is the Jack, Queen, King 3. Let's take a look at the details. Cool. Having taken a glimpse at how that works and how we're delivering incentive to do things like public events, what else? Adventures?
Yeah.
Strikes?
Yes.
So while we're talking about how the player experience is changing, what would you say about strikes?
So we decided that, hey, strikes are an integral part of the Destiny experience. They tell great stories. They have awesome bosses. Yep. And so for expansion 1, what we wanted to do is show more of those strikes, make those more part of this main story. Yep. So we have 2 strikes for Curse of Osiris. We built them as strikes. Okay. But we took those and said, hey, we're going to make story versions of these strikes. And so your first introduction to each of those strikes will be through our story.
Through the campaign.
And we have made changes to those story strikes so that they tell more of a story for the campaign. But then when you are done with the campaign, we will put those strikes in a playlist and have changes to them to be more tailored for 3 players.
So as I enjoy the campaign, if I'm a solo player who enjoys experiencing a campaign all by myself, I don't need to trouble with other people.
Correct.
I don't need to worry about someone going away from their controller and not participating.
Correct.
I can enjoy that strike all by myself as a lone gunman. And then later on, let's say I experience that strike as a match-made activity, then it will be scaled to accommodate the cooperative experience. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this, am I going to feel like I've been deprived of 2 additional story missions?
Not at all.
No.
I think one of the great things about this is that we've always, every strike has always had a story that it told.
Yeah.
And by bringing those and making those part of Osiris's story allows us to, I think, enrich in the overall narrative that is Osiris's history and everything we want to talk about.
Give people more of a sense of context of those strikes. Well, we have endeavored to avoid story spoilers as much as we could. Wanted to give people a sense of how Destiny 2 would be changing, some of the different new ways to play. While story strikes are a step in that direction, we're not going to play one today.
Correct.
We are going to save that for players to experience as part of the campaign, as part of the Curse of Osiris campaign. I'm sorry?
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That story begins for you. For today, what we're going to do is, if you missed it last week, this gate in the lighthouse takes us down to the public space. And you can see in the distance, on the other side of that structure, we have the fire team that had played through the public event. And now we are going to invite those 2 players to embark on an adventure. You said that adventures are really the way to unlock the experience, that's the way to explore Mercury.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is send them on an adventure into the Infinite Forest, the Up and Up. So you are clear to engage. You are clear to go through this gate into the Infinite Forest. Dave Matthews, point of order before we delve too deep into the machine here. Refresh our memory in a couple of sentences, if you would, as to exactly what the Infinite Forest is.
The Infinite Forest is a large Vex simulation that's constructed to explore all the infinite possibilities throughout time that ultimately brings about their success and their goals. And this also happens to be the last place that Osiris was seen going into. And Ikora is the person that puts you into motion to go and find Osiris, which ultimately will lead you into the Infinite Forest.
So the unknown is a thing that I'm really excited about, because I feel like if you've played Destiny for any period of time, you start to know how things work out. And this guaranteed every time you come here, you will play something you have not experienced prior. This will be different every time. In this space, you can see there's a red gate and there are these demon characters. So there's a Vex AI that hides itself as one of the combatant races. So for example, this is the Hive. The Hive have never actually fought the Vex in a Destiny game up to this point. Any of the 4 combatant races are available and will be plopped into any of these encounters. And there's, like I said, there are the demons that are actually Vex AI that they will basically hold players up. And so you need to find the demon so that you can unlock the gate. If you check a look at the skybox, there's just so much more. Like, you can see things way out there. There's a bunch of different possibilities. We really want it to feel like there's this kind of big expanse, and you can be and go anywhere. That's our hope, is that we instill in that.
So their objective on this adventure, the Up and Up, is to step into the future. And exactly how does that work in this space?
So I can totally speak.
Yeah.
So when we built the entire destination Mercury, the notion of thinking about Mercury as 4 distinct locations. One, which is the present, which is kind of boots on the ground, which we were just seeing where the public event is.
Yes.
There's the Infinite Forest, which is what we're looking at right now. And then there's the end caps to all of those, where the Infinite Forest takes us, so into the past. into the other aspects of the present, and then into the future. And what you're seeing here is as we're progressing through that conduit between what was the public space, ultimately we're going to step through and we're going to arrive at a final destination in this simulation, which is into the dark future.
Yes.
So Mercury as a destination is the sum of all of its parts.
Absolutely.
We have different versions of Mercury as we move through time. We have this infinite forest, which is sort of the nexus of all of those exploration experiences.
I like to think of the Infinite Force as kind of like an action subway that takes you from the present day into the simulation and into one of the simulated past, present, and future. This is definitely a different way of thinking about destinations, but I think it's really exciting because there is a lot of opportunities for players seeing new things all the time and replaying and seeing and giving that sense of the unknown, so sense of wonder.
We now see here that we've stepped into a different vision.
Yes.
This is the dark future. This is where the Vex have won. There's nothing else. There's no light. There's no dark. There's only the Vex.
You can see our dead sun in the distance of the skybox there.
And in the case of this simulation, the Fallen are here too, because this is a Vex simulation that the Vex are saying, hey, what would happen in the dark future when we win if the Fallen were to survive?
All possible realities. Let's take a look at every single reality that is possible in this universe.
Yes.
And then let's take the steps we need to take in order to get to the one we like the best.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
God, I just so want that in my life.
Yes. You can have it. Curse of Osiris.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, aesthetically, we wanted to make sure that each of those locations inside of Mercury felt really, really different, unique.
Yep.
So this one, we want to obviously make it feel cold, a little hopeless.
Nothing to light the way but a million red glaring Vex eyeballs.
Yes.
So, and then you saw kind of like the sun-scorched, sun-parched areas of the present, kind of that surrealistic, floating world of mystery that is the Infinite Forest. And then you'll get a chance to see what the past is like as well.
Yeah, I'm not even playing. Whenever and my palms are sweating.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys do this jumping puzzle, you're gonna fall to your death crap.
Yes.
It induces a very strong sense of vertigo.
So all the adventures have a theme. The up and up adventures play around with this concept that you're making progress and you're doing these kind of high wire, dangerous, palm sweaty jump puzzles.
Yep.
We have other adventures as well that have their own gameplay theme. I really like the way that the adventure team handled this because they took these very disparate, different parts, different adventure gameplay fields, and they made adventures for them. And I think someone just fell to their death.
Did they? Did they?
Oh. Anyway.
Nope. They all made it.
And so yeah, when you do different adventures, they absolutely have a very distinct gameplay feel to them, and it's a really nice. You could play a bunch of them and never feel like, oh, I'm never be confused about, am I playing this one or another one? It's very clear. And these end caps, these past, present, future end caps, they're handcrafted. Like, these are all built by artists and designers, and the encounters are custom. The
objective is complete.
Yep.
Collect your rewards, gentlemen. Good shooting, and thank you so much.
Bam.